A little bit cloudy today. Coming from that way, campsite was just down the hill over there. It's 8 o'clock. That's an hour later than normal. And normal is an hour later than I probably should be doing. I struggle with sleep even off trail. Last night, a huge wind came in for about half a minute. I figured maybe the weather was going to change. But was up at 3, shut my eyes again, woke up and it was 7. So still have high hopes for a big mile day. 6 miles, it's going to be mostly uphill. But then 18 miles is mostly down. If I can manage to do all that, it would make for a 24-mile day, and I would be happy with it. If I was up at 5 and out at 6, I'd already have 4 of those miles done. It's about 38 miles to the first road into Quincy. But whereas today, after that first 6 will be almost all down, the next day is almost all up. So I'll see how it all works out. I didn't think about it until I was already started stitching. The stitches held, but the end of the strap frayed on me. I should have melted it before I started, after I trimmed it. Alright, I tried. Coming up from around there. And then going up and around there. So there's a lot of uphill yet to come. I don't want to carry too much water, but most of the water sources for the next 5 miles are off trail. So gonna walk down and either get 1 or 2 bottles of water, maybe drink 1 and carry 1. So it's not much, but at least it's cold and clear. Coming from over there, and I'm starting into like a mile stretch that's steeper than the rest. Going up that way. And this morning, I noticed my food bag was noticeably lighter and smaller, and I am very glad of that right now. All right, this dirt road marks the end of that super steep 1 mile. I might have plenty of uphill left, but nothing that steep. At least it's more than a 1/4 mile or so. So I'm going over there. Got 4 miles down. 10 o'clock, just hope to do 20 more. All right, I was recognized from my channel again, and you know how that makes my day. Gentleman, he that has a YouTube channel also. His name is Last Call, and I think he says he does Bob Dylan songs and then does pictures to put with them. But he gave me a tip about part of the trail coming up. He said that the Safeway in Quincy, I'll have my bucket of chicken and my Fountain Diet Coke. And I get a view. All right. I don't think I have to do that extra 3/10 of a mile because I still have a bottle of water, and I do need to stop and drink it real quick. But I've got another hiker here that caught up to me, but then we've been talking and I've been keeping up with his speed. So it's a good day. It's cloudy and there's a breeze. It makes it feel so nice. So skip the last one because it was off trail. I need water. I was enjoying talking with that other fella, but gonna go get some water. And this stretch, it seems like all the water sources are off trail, and it's just the way it is. I didn't stop and make note of it, kind of breezed past it. I'm coming down from being up at 7,000 foot, and it's going to be more down than up because if I can do all the miles I want to do, I think I'm going to finish down like around 3,000 foot. So that's going to be a lot of down. But let me go check out the spring and figure out how much water I want to carry. So this is a good source, and that was definitely more than 2/10 of a mile down here. The trail looked new. Maybe it was rerouted, brought down farther downstream. But anyway, I'm going to get a couple bottles of water and get heading back up. So it's 12:40 now. It was 12 o'clock whenever I got here, and it took 20 minutes to go down, get water, and come back. So then I went ahead and ate lunch, and I've done 8 miles, and I would like to do 16 more. That's asking a lot, but hopefully because it's all downhill, I can. Maybe 10 miles for the next on-trail water. So only having to get off trail one more time for water before then. And then it's been cloudy, cool. So you might notice I'm not wearing my long sleeve shirt. It's felt great. I'll be trying to pay attention, make sure I don't get burned. I spent, well, I was going to leave at a half hour, but then conversation was just good and enjoyable. Drank a couple of sodas. I wasn't very hungry because I just ate lunch, but it was just fun. And if I have to hike with the headlamp a little bit later because of the time I spent here, totally worth it. And the trail, that looks like it, but it has a log across it. Anyway, I'll double check the map because I see a blaze up there too. Yeah, according to the map, this is the trail. So that must have been old trail over there, and this is a new. So at first I was worried. There was a little bit of uphill, and the bag felt heavy. And part of that is it rides different without the fanny pack. I didn't add anything to it except for another bottle of water, and I was even able to dump off my trash. That's another thing I really appreciate, ladies, that again, Trail Magic was very much appreciated, and I'll stop talking about it now. Saw 2 hikers catch a ride to Quincy from there, and I want to say it's like 30 miles to the road where I want to hitch in. And even the ladies doing Trail Magic were talking about heading down to Quincy. It'd been real easy to go on in, but then chances are I wouldn't be able to get a hitch back here. I would be going to Bucks Lake Road and skipping a section of trail for no reason. I am coming into an area that was burned, and some people have said that that's not going to be any fun, but we'll wait and see. There's a Dixie fire, it was 2 years ago, farther up ahead, and the way I understand that area is pretty miserable. So I was able to get a bottle of water from the Trail Angels doing magic. So I don't think I need to go there. It's like 6 or 7 miles to the next water. There might be one other off-trail one in between there, but I've made really good time just since the Trail Magic, since it's been mostly downhill. There's a little bit of up and down, but still mostly down, so I think the bottle of water I've got is going to last me. So the trail just came up over there, and I'm getting into the burned area. Trail goes up that way. And since all of my shade is burnt, I've got the long sleeves and the hat back on. Coming from that way. And then there's some spots where the fire burned, but it didn't totally kill everything. So, I always think it's neat when you see spots where it's burned and you can see that burned up the tree. If the trees are still alive. Going up that way, finishing up another little 3/4 mile uphill stretch and be coming back into a burn area. It's 4 o'clock and I've got 10.5 miles left to go. But last 5 miles of that is pretty steep downhill, and I've got a couple more of these little 1/2 mile, 3/4 mile uphill sections in the next 5. Coming down from that way. And going that way. Coming from that way. Trail's getting a little bit harder to follow. Going up that way. So it's been a little while since I've gone down a trail like this. It's kind of like an obstacle course. You come up to it, figure out the easiest way to climb over it, get around it, get under it. I don't know if it's slowing me down much, but it's wearing me out. I think I'm just a couple miles to the next water, which is good because I drank the last of mine a couple miles ago. And I think I'm about 7 miles from where I want to make camp, and it's almost 5:30, so I need to make good time. It's okay. So I'm coming from that way, and last call, who was heading the opposite direction, told me that the next couple of miles are even worse with the blowdowns, and that you can't even see the path. And then Johnny Appleseed, hiker I know who's about a day ahead of me, left a comment saying that what you really want to do is get down to the road, which is right down over there, because it's still got a lot of blowdowns, but at least you can see where the road is. So last call made it sound like I was going to see where people had gotten down to the road, and I'm looking around for that. Funny, it was a little bit steeper than it looked on the topo map to me, but here I am. They say this is going to be a lot easier. So this is an off-trail water source. But since I'm off trail, that works out just fine. And look at all that pretty water. I am excited. Just a little bit farther up, there wasn't nearly this much water, so there must be springs. Gonna drink at least 1 bottle. Take a bottle. Maybe take my clothes off, take a dip. Who knows? Right, just a little over 5 miles to where I want to make camp. And it sounds like because of the burned area, it's the only place to make camp. And it's 6 o'clock. I drank a bottle of water. I've got 2. Might go ahead and drink another one before I get going. Then there's a spring. Hopefully I don't have trouble filling up there if it's getting dark. And then I think every hiker ahead of me, everywhere, that's going to be packed. So chances are it's going to be late, and I probably won't even have room for my tent. So I might be cowboy camping unless the mosquitoes are too bad. this little guy is sprouting right in the middle of the road. But it's a Forest Service road. They might reroute it to miss it. But that's encouraging. So that tells me hope that they're thick little baby trees sprouting up all over the place. Because otherwise, I keep thinking that eventually I'm going to see like a live tree in the mix. But they're just all dead. Coming down from that way. And this is where I pick up the Pacific Crest Trail. And it still looks a little brushy. It can't be right, can it? Let me look around a little bit. Getting down into the deciduous type trees. And there's an oak that didn't die. That tree there has a little life in it. Still mostly everything's dead, but little bits holding on. There's little ups. It's still pretty much down, but it's 7:30 and I've got 2 miles to go and I need to stop for water. I'm hoping most folks are just planning to fill up at the river. So by stopping a half mile earlier and filling up at a spring, hopefully there's a campsite in between that half mile that doesn't have a hiker in it already. So I'm heading that way. And then it's going to be switching back. And you can just barely see the river down there. And a breeze is picked up. So all the more reason to get away from dead trees. Also getting really cloudy. So the one night that I really thought that I'd going to cowboy camp, watch it rain. But it also cooled off. So it feels nice. And I was making pretty good time, but I'm getting into some loose rocks. I'm coming down from up there, and some branches from a blowdown grabbed at my shoelaces. Come over here where the trail just about disappeared and the blowdowns in the brush. And the loop from that shoelace caught right on here. And I fell over there with my head downhill, one arm pinned underneath me, and the backpack. My hands were in the wrist straps of the trekking poles and they were underneath me. And I had a heck of a time getting that shoelace loose for I could then wiggle around, get the backpack off of me. And I might have said some words that weren't very nice. Anyway, somewhere around here is a spring where I want to fill up. And then it's like, I think it's less than a half mile to where there's camping. But they made it sound like, oh, good camping. All the trees are still dead. So anyway, hopefully I'll find a good spot. Still a pretty evening. Over there is where I fell down and told you that little story. And I could hear the water. I couldn't see it. But here's the spring. So I'm going to fill up and then find a flat spot to lay down. Well, it's 9:15 and I've got 4 bottles of water filtered and like 4/10 of a mile to the river, bridge, and campsites. And I don't know, the phone's having trouble focusing because of the low light, but yeah, I could hike this late every day if it wasn't for the fact that the pack gets heavy and I get tired and I look forward to setting up camp, taking off the pack and eating. Other than that, yep, I could do it all the time. So I thought that there was campsites on both sides of the river, but not so much over here. If I had gotten here early enough, I think I would have gone down, said the water was warm. Part of the reason why I wanted to get spring water to drink. It would have been cool just to hang out right down there, or wherever the trail came down. And now, I'm going to see if I can find a flat spot to lay down. Well, just a minute. This is pretty cool.